This video is a video I've been wanting to make for a very long time. It's called Too Fat to Go on a Cruise. I don't think that there's such a thing. I mean, as long as you can do things. I know for a fact though that a lot of people think, because I've heard this, that they were too fat to go on a cruise. And I'm trying to think of the reasons why one person would feel this way. And I mean, my concerns when I first went on a cruise was the shower, of course, and the bathroom. Like, are the bathrooms so small and the shower so small that you can't actually fit in them if you were overweight? And you can't. I've never ever had a shower, even when I was up to 350 in the past, that I couldn't fit in. And a lot of the showers have drains on the bathroom floor so that you can leave the shower curtain or door open, which gives you more space, and the water just goes into the drain. And then when you're done, you use the towels to wipe up just the dampness off the floor. I haven't had a toilet that I can't fit on, although on one ship, I think it was Norwegian Pearl, the toilet was positioned weirdly, so I had to sit sideways on it just because it was kind of against the wall, but it was also fine. I never had any problem with fitting in bathrooms. The Disney cruise ship bathrooms were a little tight fitting through the doors, actually, because there's two different bathrooms in the one stateroom. And maybe in the bathroom with the commode in it, you might have to walk sideways if you're really big to get over to the toilet, but still, I've never had an issue personally. And like I said, my max weight was 350. I'm in the teens now, I've been losing weight, but I haven't had a problem with it at all. Another reason that I could think would be chairs and different things on the ship. Although I have found snug chairs in the dining room and the Lido and the theaters and everything, I've been able to fit in them, although some of them were not very comfortable when I was higher towards the 350 range. But in the dining rooms, you can almost always find a chair without sides and just discreetly ask them to switch it out, and they will. And you might say, oh, that would be embarrassing, but you know what? A lot of people don't like it when they use the word fat. I'm not using it in a derogatory way. I just consider myself fat. I'm not going to say overweight or poo-sized, or I don't know what other words there is. I just say it's fat. So when I'm using the word fat here, once again, I don't mean it in a mean way at all. But I'm fat, and that if I have to switch a chair or have them just switch a chair and someone sees that, I mean, they already see me and they already see I'm fat, and at least I'm fitting in a chair without sides than kind of spilling over the chair with sides, you know. I don't really care. And even if you do care and you don't necessarily want to do that, it's not worth not going on a cruise just to have a chair switched in front of a few people maybe. But almost always there's sideless chairs you can get. As far as the theater goes, I have been on a couple cruise ships. MSC Divina was I think the worst for having the smallest, narrowest theater seats, and I actually couldn't fit in them. Not even just uncomfortably, but they were solid sides, and the chair seat was so tiny that I just didn't really go in there. But in the back, they had couch kind of things, and chairs that moved, and I pulled them forward. If you guys want to see those videos, I actually showed what I was doing. So if you click on playlists and click on MSC Divina, you'll see it. Also, you can go to seacruisersvlogs.com and click on MSC Cruise Line and see the playlist there. But it's in one of those videos. Some cruise ships, they're just very snug, and they might dig into your hips and they might hurt. But that's just something you have to decide whether you want to do or not. Sometimes it's really, really tight, and I'm like, I don't want to stay here for 40 minutes. It hurts too much, so I don't. My favorite cruise line for spacious theater seats is Royal Caribbean. That's it, right? Yeah, they have more like curved couch areas and open benches that you sit on instead of the tight little seats that they have packed into the theater. The chairs in the buffet are also, like I said, you can almost always find chairs without sides, and you can switch them out from a chair with sides if you see one. It's no problem. And as far as going through any public areas, there's plenty of space for you, regardless of your size, to go through public areas. And there are people of all sizes on cruises, and there are people in wheelchairs because of disabilities, and I've seen people in wheelchairs. I mean, I don't know why they're in wheelchairs, but they're very, very large, and maybe they're not very mobile, and so that's why maybe they're in a wheelchair. As far as getting around on the cruise ship, there's elevators everywhere, usually in the aft and the front of the ship, and sometimes in the midship, so you don't have to go far to get to an elevator. You don't ever have to take stairs. When they close the elevators for lifeboat drill, muster drill, if you don't want to walk up and down a lot of stairs, all you have to do is tell the crew members that are stationed at the elevators that you can't do the stairs. Tell them you have bad hips, tell them you have bad legs, whatever. You don't have to be like, I'm too fat to walk up and down the stairs. Just say you can't do the stairs, and they'll let you take the elevators down to the muster drill area. If you don't say it, they will make you use the stairs, and whether it's going up or down. So there's always an option for you to use the elevator. If there was an emergency and you had to get together into your life drill area, or even evacuate or abandon the ship, they say on the first day, you at the muster drill, you actually talk to someone there and you tell them, they have your cabin number, and you tell them, if there's an emergency, I'm not going to be able to do this on my own or get up all these stairs on my own. And they make a note of it, and they would think of you when the time came to come help you. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that either. And if you're really concerned, you can stay on a mid-deck. Usually lifeboats are on 5, 6, 7, something like that. You could stay in that area if you wanted, with maybe one floor above or below you, in case you just really wanted to go up a flight of stairs and go to a lifeboat. I guess another thing of concern could just be port days. Almost all ports are very, they're convenient. So a lot of them offer bicyclists who you might not want to use because you might think you're too heavy. But if you're not that heavy, like if you're 400 pounds, you have to think that the person who's taking you from a bike from the ship to the port usually takes 2 to 3 people of average weight. So one 400-pound person is just like 2 to 3 people, right? But if you're above that, I probably wouldn't want to ride on the bicycle person. And so you do have to walk from the ship to the port area, which could be like a 5 or 10 minute walk, but you can take your own pace. And you can also maybe get someone on the ship to push in a wheelchair. I'm not sure how that works. But if you have a wheelchair, you could rent a wheelchair from Miami or something before you get on the ship, and you could bring it onto the ship and get a handicap room so that you can use a wheelchair on the ship and off the port. That's a good idea if you don't actually have an electric wheelchair of your own or you're traveling by yourself. Once you get into port, there's taxis, there's buses, there's lots of things usually right around that cruise port, so you don't have to actually walk very far to do or see the local areas. And as far as excursions go, when you're looking at the available excursions, it'll tell you like how hard the excursion is. They'll rate it moderate, like it doesn't take much physical exertion, or it's a moderate, or it's extreme. And you don't want to book something that is going to take extreme physical exertion, of course, but most things are just moderate, and it might just consist of riding in a bus or a shuttle to a place where I've never been on anything that had a lot of walking. Even the ruins, there was just a short amount of walk from the bus to the ruins. And the bus, though, is another story. The bus seats are not very large, and when I'm on a bus seat, I usually go into part of the other seat, which one of the kids sits in. When I was at my highest weight, like I said, that happened. Even a regular 200-pound person kind of goes into someone else's seat because those bus seats are kind of tight. But what I do is I get there first. I try to get there early at where the tour starts, and either get the very front row because there's more leg room, or in the very back because there seems more leg room. And then walking back to it, you can walk sideways if you need to. I've never had an issue with getting through because of size. And I've never had an issue of doing anything on a tour because of size, ever. Just know that if you go into Mexico, the ruins or something, it will be hot. So make sure you drink a lot of water before you go, and bring water. And I like to get those towels you put around your neck to keep you cool and you can wet. And they just help kind of regulate your body temperature, I think. But there's always usually restrooms there. I mean, I haven't had a problem. At first I was concerned, but I've seen all kinds of people, all ages, do these tours and these cruises, and there's no reason at all that you can't go on a cruise because of your weight. There's no reason. There's no reason at all. I can't think of anything at all why you wouldn't, except for maybe you didn't know these things, or you felt, well, I don't know. But now I'm telling you, you can go on a cruise even if you're really overweight and have a great time. You can do it, because look at me, I do things and I'm overweight. Just don't push yourself, and just do what you feel comfortable doing. And if you get on a cruise and you decide you don't want to do anything except for sit around and read or eat or whatever, then that's fine, because it's your vacation. And everybody does completely different things on cruises, from the person next to them completely. So when it comes to your cabin, what you want to, you're probably, it's a twin bed, but they're smaller than normal, I think. I don't have any problems in them at all, even at 350. But if you feel as if you need something larger in twin bed, you can get them put together if it's just you, and get one large bed that puts 2 twins together. You can ask them to configure it that way when you book. Make sure that if you're traveling with other people, usually there's a twin or 2 and a Pullman. We know which pulls down from the wall, like opens up. And then also there's a trundle bed or a couch bed, which isn't the most comfortable thing for an adult in the first place, but you probably definitely don't want to sleep on that. So make sure you look at the room configuration and make sure that there's a twin or 2 twins. You wouldn't want to get, if you didn't fit a twin nicely, you wouldn't want to get a 1 room. On Carnival, they have rooms that are 1 lower and 1 upper, which means 1 twin on the side of the wall, and then the 1 bed that just opens up like a bunk bed above it. So that's all it is. If you want to see what I'm talking about, go to playlist, click on Carnival Magic. Is that what it was? Carnival Magic? Cruise vlog? And look at the room, like oh my gosh, this room is so tiny, or here's my closet, or something like that, because you wouldn't have no option except for having 1 twin bed. So just look at the room configuration and make sure you have 2 twins if you need it, that you can put together. Don't do it 1 upper, 1 lower. And if you're traveling with other people, make sure you at least have your bed or 2 on the bottom, and that you don't go up to a bunk, which I think max weight is 250, 300. And then the couch bed, which is very narrow and not very comfortable or supportive. As far as cabin sizes go, the smallest cabin I've ever stayed in is the Majesty of the Seas. Nope, the Empress of the Seas. And still, the cabins are plenty big for anyone, even if you were 600 pounds, to walk around in. Like I said, you might have to walk sideways through a bathroom door if you're very large. You might have to shower with the curtain open and have the water go down the drain and clean it up afterwards when you're done, but you can do it. And you can fit on the toilet and you can fit in the bathroom. Then going back to the ship just a little bit before we finish up this video, is all the pools are different on different cruise lines. Some pools only have one of those ladders going down into it, which I personally find difficult. I can do it, but it kind of like pulls out your muscles. You know, if you're overweight, you're not going to want to climb up a ladder. Let's face it, you might not be able to. I like it when the pool, and most pools do have stairs going down into it with handles, you know, on the side. So I've only seen maybe, I don't even know what cruise it was, but one cruise only had a ladder on it. Maybe it was an older one. Was it? Yeah, I think it was an older Carnival ship. And then I just didn't go in the pool, you know. Or if you're with someone, what a tip is when you go to get on the ladder and they push your butt, you know, they push on your butt as you go up, and it helps you just right out of the pool. And yes, people might see someone pushing on your butt to help you out of the pool, but oh well. I've seen perfectly normal sized people sitting on the ground and having people help by pulling them up off the ground when they stand up. Okay, it's just a little assistance, which also reminds me, if you're on a tour and there's a little more walking than maybe you're used to, or little hills or something, which once again, I don't remember a lot of hills. In Nassau, there's a hill to go up to the Queen Staircase or the fort or something like that. Someone can also push on your butt, but that's if it's a really steep hill. If it's not steep and you need assistance, a perfect thing to do is have someone take your arm like this, like link your arm, and then they just kind of walk faster and kind of just pull you a bit, and that really helps, takes the stress off of you walking up a hill. I'm telling you, it helps so much. A child can do it, an adult can do it. You know, that's a really good tip. And then when it comes to boat tours, just be careful. I'm gonna tell you this from personal experience. When you're going to book a tour on a boat or a catamaran or snorkeling or anything, go to that place, that website, that Facebook page, or whatever it is, look at their photos and try to find a photo of how they get in and out of the water. Because some of them have like stairs that go into the water, and some of them only have ladders. And the catamaran, like we did a Stingray one, and I'm going to do it again, but I actually hurt my knee on that one. It hurt for months afterwards, and it still flares up because it had, did it have a ladder? It was a ladder, right?
I think it was a weird ladder.
Maybe a ladder or even 1 or 2 stairs, but once you got onto the deck, you had to be on your knees.
Yeah.
And then you had to pull yourself up from the railing, which I could do, but I guess putting my weight on my knees that day and pulling up really hurt my knee. And so you want to make sure you can do that. You want to make sure you can get back into a boat once you get in the water. And if it's just a ladder, you're probably not going to be able to pull your weight up the ladder, okay? You're not, probably. And when we went snorkeling last year, they only had a ladder, so I jumped into the ocean. And then when I had to get back on the boat, I would not have done it if it wasn't for my sister. She actually pushed my butt up while I went up the ladder so I could get up. I couldn't have done it by myself. There's no way. So look into that before you book an excursion. See how you get in the water and how you get back on. And another thing, those ski-doo things, I don't really know if I would do that, because they say that if you got into the water, you have to pull yourself up on the ski-doo without any stairs or anything, and I don't really think that would be very possible either. So I think that's about all I can think of in tips and stuff for swimming and in good cruising when you're overweight. I think you guys should do it. That's what I think. I really, really think you should, because it's amazing. And I've had so many people write me and say, I thought I was too fat to cruise, and then I watched your videos, because I'm fat and I cruise all the time. I never have any problems. And then they went on a cruise and they loved it, and you're not too fat to cruise.